Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So for today's review, we have the DEEPAL S07, which of course is from DEEPAL, a Chinese automaker, and the S07 is actually the very first model that they're launching into Singapore. Already on the roads, very interesting looking. So for today's review, we're going to go take the car for a drive to see how it fares on Singapore's roads, check out its exterior, and of course check out its interior features as well. And we'll do all that right after these messages. Hey guys, if you are a driver in Singapore and you're looking for the best deals on your car insurance renewal, or you want to get the best price on your used car, check out the link in the description box below. It's completely free to inquire, so please check it out. Alright, so jumping straight into the review, let's check out the exterior of the car first. In terms of overall size, the car, I would classify this under like a mid to family size, and I think it comes into direct comparison with a car like the BYD Sea Lion, which in terms of price point, they're also very similar. And in terms of size and the overall package, functionality wise, they're also fairly similar. But I think the key difference here is that maybe the BYD looks a little bit more mature, and the S07 takes on a little bit more of a sporty approach, as you can see from the car behind me. Up front, you've got a very sharp and angular front end, which is of course very sporty. And although it's an electric vehicle and there's no physical front grille, there are quite a lot of styling features and a very aggressive lower lip and front bumper. The headlamps are also very sleek, very thin, very angry, very angular. And I think that is quite good looking if you are looking for this kind of sporty profile. Now down the side of the car, 19-inch wheels as standard, and the wheels or the rims are actually in this sort of aero design. Are they the best looking rims? I think they look good, but of course, if you look at the overall car package, I think there is potential for this car to be fitted with slightly larger wheels, maybe up to 20 inches, and I think the whole package will look very sporty. But of course, I think the 19-inch wheels strike a very good balance between comfort and performance. So on the roads, you feel like there's a lot of weight, and handling of the car is pretty nice, but at the same time, it doesn't really compromise comfort that much. So continuing down the sideline of the car, you will find that there is use of a lot of cladding, and especially on the door panels, the cladding have a sort of brushed metal effect, which I think adds to the sportiness a little bit more, and also helps the car to look a bit more modern. And then towards the back, you've got some very nicely styled tail lights, and this is of course a continuous light bar. And I'm not sure what you feel about continuous light bars, because I think it's become a bit of a commonplace item in many of the cars that are launched today, which was originally meant to make the car look distinct. But now that every car has it, it's almost a case of like, it's not distinct anymore. It's like, if an indie song becomes mainstream, is it still indie? But anyway, let's check out the rear and also take a look at the boot space of the car, because this is after all meant to be sort of like a family size SUV. So as you can see, boot space is very generous, and there's a very nice entryway, so there's no load lip here, easy for you to slide things in and out of. And it's got a very nice squarish shape that will make it very easy for you to fit squarish items like your luggage into the back of this car. If you're a golfer, not such good news. I think the shape of the boot doesn't really allow for a golf bag in here unless you knock down the rear seats. Auto tailgate, so that you don't have to use your own strength to pull the door down. And pretty much that's the exterior. So let's jump inside the car, take a look at the interior and some of the cool functions that are available via the infotainment unit. Hi DEEPAL.
I'm here.
Change the screen position to the driver.
Alright.
Okay guys, so welcome to the interior of the DEEPAL S07, and as you can see, I've just used voice commands to actually change the screen orientation from the passenger side to point it towards myself for easier access. And I think that's just one of the very cool features that you find in the DEEPAL S07. Generally speaking, as a brand new EV on the market, I think technology is definitely one of the key things that comes to mind, or what you would expect from a car in this sort of range. And if we zero in on the overall design of the infotainment unit, generally speaking, it's a very good looking unit. In fact, I think the home layout, which means the layout when you're not in CarPlay or Android Auto is actually pretty beautiful, and it's got very nice little widgets that kind of fill the screen up in a very pleasant way. And the background image is actually customizable, so you can actually upload your own photos. And I think personally, I wouldn't mind having my family photo up here so that I can see my kids while I drive. I think it's quite a nice touch, and it does help to kind of make the car a more homely place as well. So I think that's a very nice, very small, very minor detail, but definitely adds a lot of uniqueness to the whole driving experience. Aside from that, most of the functions in the car are controlled through the infotainment unit. So of course your air conditioning is also controlled through the infotainment unit. In fact, you have the there are no aircon vent controls physically. You have to adjust them through the screen here. It's definitely a cool feature to have, but while you're driving, this can of course be a little bit trickier to do as compared to a physical vent. The other thing that's also quite accessible in this car is that if you swipe left on the right panel of the screen, you do come to a shortcut menu that gives you all the important things that you need. So for example, your front wiper settings are here, your headlight settings are here, your wing mirror adjustments are here, things like your speed alert, lane departure assist, even your sunshade. These are all functions that you can find here. You can also adjust screen brightness here. So there are some of the key features that can be accessed very quickly without having to kind of fast through the entire menu. So that's the infotainment unit. In terms of overall design of the interior, there is, I think, a lot to like in the DEEPAL S07. So most of the panels here feel very well built with a good choice of materials used, and the overall design is actually pretty clean and modern, which I think will appeal to perhaps the younger generation as well. You don't see any sort of like wood paneling here. Actually you do, a little bit of wood paneling here, but very tastefully done, very nice color. Wireless charging pad over here in the center console, and this comes with a bit of a air outlet here that sort of blows a small amount of air at your phone while it's charging, because phones do tend to heat up while charging. And before I forget, this is actually the key fob that you get on the DEEPAL S07, which I think could be one of the coolest key fobs that you can get on the market today. Very, very nice. This center bin is actually pretty huge. I think you could fit like a few 500 ml bottles into this center bin should you desire. And I think that's just, you know, A+ for practicality. This has got one of the biggest panoramic roofs in the market at the moment. I mean, not biggest in terms of actual size, but biggest in terms of the proportion of the roof that it fills up. So in the S07, just a press of a button, and then of course the panoramic roof opens up. This actually slides all the way back over the head of your rear passengers. So it's actually quite a sizable portion of the roof that's already taken up by the panoramic roof, and I think this just lets a lot of light in, makes the whole car feel a lot more airy. My kids especially, when they are sitting in cars with panoramic roofs, they absolutely love looking out of it at night, and it kind of helps them to go to sleep as well. Speaking about going to sleep, there is actually quite a unique feature in this car, which is the fact that you can actually shut off all the speakers in the car except the driver headrest or headrest speaker. So if you have passengers who are kind of asleep in the car and you don't really want to disturb them, but you still want to listen to some music, you can actually change the setting of the speakers such that the sound only comes out of the headrest here, and that means that you get to enjoy the music, but you don't really risk waking the rest of your family up. So I think all that is very cool. Let's jump into the back of the car and see how the DEEPAL S07 fares as a family car. Okay, so now we are in the back seat of the DEEPAL S07, and generally the quality that you see in front extends to the back as well, so still feels as luxurious as in the back as it does in the front. This car comes with a rear aircon unit, which is of course very, very desirable. There are some pockets here, which I'm not sure what you might keep in here because they are quite flushed. Probably just some small little knickknacks, and ISOFIX points on the rear seats as well. So if you are using this car to ferry younger kids, toddlers, anyone who requires a child seat, you do have the option of rearward facing child seats that you can kind of install right here. And generally speaking, legroom is also quite generous. So I'm 175 meters tall, and this car or this front seat is actually in my regular driving position, and this is the amount of legroom that I have and the amount of headroom that I have, even with the panoramic roof installed, so that's quite commendable. There is also a flat floor in the second row, completely flat, so putting 3 people in the rear is probably not going to be a fight for foot space or leg space. The seat is a little bit raised in the middle, so of course the middle passenger will feel a little bit more propped up, but they are not going to fight with you for footwell space, so I think that's a great plus point. Now, let's jump back into the driver's seat. I'm very keen to go take the car for a drive, and I'll share with you my thoughts as we go along. Let's go. This car houses an almost 80 kilowatt hour battery pack. It's like 79.97, and this allows you to have more than 400 kilometers of range on a single charge. I say more than 400 kilometers of range on a single charge because whatever number they give you, generally speaking, the number does differ from driver to driver. So I think if you average out all the drivers, you can expect at least 400 kilometers on a single charge in this car. In terms of power, 215 brake horsepower, 320 Newton meters of torque, and this allows the DEEPAL S07 to go from 0 to 100 in 7.9 seconds. Rear wheel drive configuration. So generally speaking, I think we can expect this car to handle better than the average front wheel drive EV. To kind of put the car in drive, there is a drive stock here, so Mercedes style. I think they were the ones who kind of did it first. And then off we go. Pretty fast free. Now, there are of course different driving settings that you can choose in the DEEPAL S07 as with many other cars. But currently the car is in sport mode, and the reason we put it in sport mode is because I'm a fan of heavier steering feels and lower regeneration rates or braking regenerations on the drive. So that's what I have on the car right now, but of course if you fancy a higher rate of regen braking, you can definitely set that as well, and you can also set the steering weights to different weights according to your preference. Now, in terms of power, 320 Newton meters of torque should tell you a little bit about how the car performs. So obviously this is not an extremely quick car, you shouldn't treat this car like a sports car per se, but definitely you will have more than enough power when you're kind of joining the expressway like I've just done, and that's definitely power that's very usable in a very Singaporean context kind of way, because we've got expressway entrances and exits that are generally very close to each other, and I think this is a very useful feature to have. I would think that the balance between performance, handling, driving comfort, the DEEPAL S07 seems to have done a very, very, very good job here in striking this very, very key balance. Some other unique features when you're driving is that there is a heads-up display, and I think the heads-up display is actually pretty clear. Even in a bright sunny day like today, you will be able to see the details that are on the heads-up display, and there's actually quite a lot of information up on the heads-up display that I feel like you don't really get on other cars. So currently now, I'm driving at about 72 kilometers per hour, which is probably the average speed that you will drive in Singapore, because of the way our expressways work. And the car is extremely comfortable. There is definitely a little bit of tire noise coming through the footwells here, but that's generally something that's quite expected of most SUVs, just because the wheel hub is a bit bigger. But if you were to invest in, say, a quieter set of tires, I'm sure that this noise level would definitely go down as well. So overall, very happy with this car. Now I'm going to try and exit, pick up speed a little bit, and off we go. Yeah. So to kind of end off the review, I think what you get with the S07 is definitely a family-friendly package with a healthy size boot, healthy rear leg room, and actually I forgot to mention there's actually a 125-litre frunk as well. So if you do require some extra space, it is available for you right there to use. So practicalities aside, you've got modern styling as well, and you've got a performance package that's actually quite well suited to Singapore. So 320 Newton meters of torque. For those of you who are a little bit confused about what that means, an average 1.6 litre SUV, petrol powered, will probably give you somewhere around the 200 to 230 Newton meters of torque kind of torque figure. Whereas this is literally 100 Newton meters more. So at the same price point, you're probably getting quite a lot more power and performance, at least in the short range, like in terms of short bursts of speed. So I think that's very good value for money as well. Handling of the car is superb, and I think the ride quality and the performance of the car is very well balanced. Like, in fact, brakes are super comfortable as well. Earlier on, we came to like a pretty abrupt stop, and actually the brake calibration was just wonderful. So if you are interested to try out the DEEPAL S07, do get in touch with Premium Auto, which is the dealer, and then you can arrange for a test drive. If you have found this review useful in any way, shape or form, please consider giving this video a like, subscribing to the channel, because we've got more reviews coming out every single week. And if you have questions that I didn't address in this review, please put your questions down in the comment section below. If not, as usual, please take care of yourself, stay safe, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.